Welcome everyone to the Urantia book. As I've been saying, this book has the power to change not only your own individual life, as it has done for mine, but also it can change the power of the collective world. This is something that everybody can get behind, no matter what their spiritual background is, where they're at on their path, anything. This is for the, it's an epochal generation, which means it's for the whole entire planet. So we really need to get behind this, and let's just check it out though. We don't need to have blind faith. Think as we're doing our reading today, is this something that the entire world should get behind? Or is it leaving something out? Does there seem like there's a hole in it? I appreciate everybody that's liking and subscribing. We're doing really well. Almost up to 500 subscribers here, so let's keep the ball rolling, please. And I would love to see this really skyrocket and see a real surge of numbers of people get behind this book. Because I know it will happen. We'll have less victims in the world. We'll have happier people. Everything will make more sense. And there just won't be those people struggling and suffering because people are pursuing materials at the cost of other humans' lives and well-being. And so that's what we're looking at today, the vulnerability of materialism. But remember, if you're somebody who's already become spiritual, then this is just all a reminder or a way to put it into really concrete words. But you already know, if you're already spiritual, that it's you're walking on a bed of roses. How foolish it is for material-minded man to allow such vulnerable theories as those of a mechanistic universe to deprive him of the vast spiritual resources of the personal experience of true religion. And when they say true religion, just remember that's one individual's own relationship to deity and divinity. It's not saying there's any one true religion other than your own relationship. It's a personal thing. Facts never quarrel with real spiritual faith. Theories may. See, facts they're just facts. There's no fact in the entire universe that anybody that's spiritual would want to sweep under the rug. There's ugly facts that we need to take a look at and address, but we need to look at them. We can't just say, oh, I don't want to, that's uncomfortable. Facts are part of spiritual faith, right? But then how you arrange those, that could be a quarrel. Better that science should be devoted to the destruction of superstition rather than attempting to overthrow the religious faith, human belief in spiritual realities, and divine values. See, you see many scientists who have this vendetta against thinking, because they're reacting from the church's standpoint that the church had to do various things in order to keep the Bible as, the chief document on the planet. So they had to go out and pretend like that the scientists planted bones at the bottom of the La Brea tar pits because the dinosaur bones would disprove the age of the world as put out in the Bible. But that's the religionists. But now the scientists, on the other hand, on the other perspective, they should just be seeking the facts, right? They should just be trying to say, well, if somebody says, is there a God? Then science is that, well, we've never done an experiment on it. So that's all that we can say. We can't even lean towards there being not one because they've never done an experiment. Science should do for man materially what religion does for him spiritually. Extend the horizon of life and enlarge his personality. True science can have no lasting quarrel with true religion. Okay. The scientific method is merely an intellectual yardstick wherewith to measure material adventures and physical achievements. But being material and wholly intellectual, it is utterly useless in the evaluation of spiritual realities and religious experience. So, people that are way too far on either side, they need to come back to this medium ground of understanding that they're just totally different, discrete realms of our existence, the physical and the spiritual. So why would one be trying to battle the other? Why would a scientist have anything to do with spirituality or any statements at all to make about the existence of God? like for instance, we see our Neil deGrasse Tyson, he might be kind of, a lot of them turn. You see a lot of them go from being very atheist minded, even professing against God, to then you see this kind of like change in their thing, and they say, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe actually I am being a little bit too ambitious with my professing, because maybe I really don't know. Oops, is that my own little flicker of personal bias slipping in there? Neil deGrasse Tyson might ask himself, and then he'll come out the next day and be like, you know what? I don't really know, because I thought I remember hearing that he had some sort of change in his. The inconsistency of the modern mechanist is, if this were merely a material universe and man only a machine, such a man would be wholly unable to recognize himself as such a machine. See, it can't be conscious. And likewise, would such a machine man be wholly unconscious of the fact of the existence of such a material universe. The materialistic dismay and despair of a mechanistic science has failed to recognize the fact of the spirit indwelt mind of the scientists, whose very supermaterial insight formulates these mistaken and self-contradictory concepts of a materialistic universe. It reminds me of, I forget which philosopher pronounced it, maybe it was Descartes there, so that said, I think, therefore I am. And then another philosopher said, well, you must be more than that, because if you're just thinking and emming, then how did you step out of that little cycle in order to utter the statement? You know, you're just in a loop of thinking and emming. It takes more than just a philosophic mind to just remove himself and observe himself from that additional perspective to say, wait a minute, I'm thinking and I aming. I must be more if I'm able to decipher that, if I'm able to observe that. Paradise values of eternity and infinity, of truth, beauty, and goodness are concealed within the facts of the phenomena of the universes of time and space. But it requires the eye of faith in a spirit-born mortal. See? Requires. That's not an option. To anybody that wants mysticism, that's great, and you should, because there's a lot of greatness within that. But if it's devoid of faith, you're teaching anti-faith philosophies, then you are teaching anti-God philosophies. The other parts may be well and good, and that's fine, and you should enjoy them, all of your mystical whatever, because it's required to detect and discern these spiritual values, right? Okay? That is such a key, important line. The realities and values of spiritual progress are not a psychologic projection. See, that's what somebody that maybe even a psychologist, they could class religion under some sort of psychologic projection, a mere glorified daydream of the material mind. Such things are the spiritual forecasts of the indwelling adjuster, the Spirit of God living in the mind of man. And so this is just a revelation, and you can believe this or not until you have your own personal experience of it. And then when you do, you will know that whoever wrote this book, they know exactly what the hell they're talking about. And let not your dabblings with the faintly glimpsed findings of relativity disturb your concepts of the eternity and infinity of God. See, we glimpsed relativity as far as Einstein is looking at it, you know, the relativity of time and space and things like that. And somebody would say, oh, well, that disproves God right there. Everything, you know, it's all relative. And in all your solicitation concerning the necessity for self-expression, do not make the mistake of failing to provide for adjuster expression. Remember, that's what they call your fragment of God. The manifestation of your real and better self. See, this is what it's about. Bettering yourself, not just trying to do some mental gymnastics that are going to try to deny God, or like working so hard to disprove God, right? This is about accepting, moving on so we can get on with the glory, the betterment of our lives. But at the same time, we're not throwing out facts, logic, and reason at arriving at that. That's what the beautiful thing is. You got to take it all into consideration. And that's why everybody in the world can embrace this book. If this were only a material universe, material man would never be able to arrive at the concept of a mechanistic character of such an exclusively material existence. This very mechanistic concept of the universe is in itself a non-material phenomena of mind. And all mind is of non-material origin. No matter how thoroughly it may appear to be materially conditioned and mechanistically controlled, the partially evolved mental mechanism of mortal man is not over-endowed with consistency and wisdom. Man's conceit often outruns his reason and eludes his logic. Everybody in the world, including myself, everybody can learn a lot from that. This very pessimism of the most pessimistic materialist is, in and of itself, sufficient proof that the universe of the pessimist is not wholly material. Both optimism and pessimism are concept reactions in a mind conscious of values, right? Somebody said that to me in the comments. They said, well, I don't like, even if I have to be unhappy, or even if it makes me unhappy, I still deny spirituality. And I said, why would denying spirituality make you unhappy? Why would, if it's just atoms colliding in the universe, what's there to be unhappy about? But he's equating spirituality with this flighty sense of mystical ecstasy or something like that. And so he's saying, yeah, you people are all just trying to take this happy pill, and that's why you're spiritual. But he says, even if it means I'm unhappy, I'm still not going to believe in God. But he's contradicting his own view of the universe. Why would an atom collide? He's just an atom colliding around in space, right? If he's denying God and spirit and everything like that. Even his brain functions started at the time of the Big Bang, because everything is just a reaction from the Big Bang. So every thought that you've had, every desire, if you're a pure materialist, none of it's your own doing, because it's all just reactionary from like your thoughts, your neuropeptides, all these whatever. Let's continue on. But if you can recognize the values of even being optimism and pessimism, then that's your that's your sign right there. There's no values in a materialistic universe. If the universe were truly what the materialist regards it to be, man as a human machine would then be devoid of all conscious recognition of that very fact. Without the consciousness of the concept of values within the spirit-born mind, the fact of universe materialism and the mechanistic phenomena of the universe operation would be wholly unrecognized by man. It's just all one big machine. There's no scientist. It's all science. There's no scientist. One machine cannot be conscious of the nature or value of another machine. So we'll do the rest at another time. I think that's enough for today, but yeah, those are some really important words. And remember, that's just this tiny fragment, right, of this book. That wisdom, look at the wisdom in this thing, folks. This thing is just, in the language, the clarity of it all, and how it comes through. So please make sure you like and subscribe for more Urantia book videos. Take care, carry on and on.